And Ms. Foley, that meeting is yours.
Great. Thanks, Seth. So evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 19th Scituate Conservation meeting. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. And we have this second portion here. The town of Scituate has a commitment statement to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Scituate Conservation Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our community members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. Okay, so let's find out who is here. We know Frank is running just a couple minutes late, so he will be joining us shortly. Richard.
I'm here. At home.
Here at home. Doug is not here. Penny?
Here, home.
Jen Foley here at home. Andy? Not here. Brendan?
I am here at home.
Exciting. All right. Do we have any additions or changes to the agenda for the evening?
Not that I'm aware of.
Unless
Madam
Frank
Chair,
has
ma'am.
some.
Frank might have some
Hey, too
updates
bad.
on the trail stuff. He had a meeting with the Boy Scouts last week, so
Good.
there might be something to say there, maybe.
Okay, so I'll make a motion. We accept the agenda with possibly discussing the Boy Scout meeting.
Mhm.
Somebody want to
Uh,
second that?
I'll second that.
Thank
All
you.
right, we have a second from Brendan. Penny,
Yes,
Richard,
Yes.
Jen, yes. Okay, so as everybody can see here, we have a lot of requests to continue. Excuse me. So this very long agenda potentially got much shorter. So we'll roll through many of them. We do need Frank for some of them since he has the right language in front of him, but we'll get started.
okay.
So go ahead, Penny.
I was gonna say the first four continued to the same date, so I think I can do them together.
Okay.
with one vote. I make a motion to continue 22 Oceanside Drive, 151 Turner Road, 121 Jericho Road, 196 Central Ave, and 327 Central Ave to May 16th.
I'll second that.
A second from Richard. Brendan,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes,
Jen, yes.
okay.
All right. That's A
Now
through D.
We have 39 Arrowwood Drive. They're continuing to June 6th. They're by themselves, so.
Okay. I'll take a motion.
You
Somebody
just
wanna
made it.
I'll take a
that?
second.
I'll second it.
All right. Brendan,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes,
Jen, yes.
okay. Now we have 7 New Driftway, requested continuance to May 2nd.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Oh, wow. We're shaking things up.
Absolutely.
Richard,
Yes.
Penny.
Yes,
Oh, my goodness. Jen, yes.
okay, and let me
That's it.
see. Well,
one more.
wait a minute.
Oh, you got to open.
97, I think they have to
I
open.
have to open
Yeah.
it first.
Yep.
And the
So-
2 Bailey Causeways, those are amendments. I don't quite know what's going on there.
Yeah. But we can accept the minutes.
Yes, we can. I make a motion, we accept the minutes of 3:24 as written.
All right.
Second that.
Richard,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes,
Jen, yes.
okay, we can do
Um,
the orders of condition.
Uh,
One there.
Amy, can we do the orders of condition? Anything to say about those ones?
Miss Walkie is here. I just don't think she's unmuting herself.
Oh, she was probably letting Frank in since.
No, actually, sorry, I thought I was unmuted. Sorry. Yeah, just we can do those as written.
Okay.
Okay.
I make a motion, we accept the orders of condition for 155 Hammerock Beach Road as written.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Richard, let's sleep on the job. Richard,
Yep, I agree.
Penny,
Yes,
Jen, yes. So Frank's here so we can jump back up, but the things that we didn't cover, we can get to later. So Frank,
Yep.
we are at G. So we're doing 71 to 73 Glades Road, which needs to be opened.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jen.
No problem.
My apologies. Let's see. Did you do all the continuance or?
All done.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. All the continuances, all the other stuff.
Well, I'm getting up to speed here. Nope, I got it. Okay. On April 19th, 2022, 6 p.m. in the Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Robert Tremblay for work related to repairing a septic system at location 71-73 Glades Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meetings available on the agenda posted on the town website. And who do we have for that?
I'm gonna
Grady.
unmute Mr. Tremblay.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, hello.
hi. Is this Robert Tremblay?
It is Robert Tremblay, yes.
Oh, so you're the applicant. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were from Grady, but I see it's actually Rob that I want to,
Yes,
so sorry about that, Mr. Tremblay. Okay, hold on. It's
He's there. He just needs to be unmuted.
Got his hand raised.
Yeah.
You need, there you go.
you should be all set.
Okay, can you hear me?
You got you.
Okay. So my name is Rob Carlazana from Grady Consulting. This is a septic repair plan for 71 and 73 Glades Road, Scituate. Basically, we filed a notice of intent for the project. The entire site is located within a flood zone. We also have a wetland on the plan. It's shown in the top right portion of the plan. And that was delineated back in November. You're probably familiar with this property. It abuts the one of the parking lots for Minot Beach. And the driveway actually comes off the end of the parking lot. So when you're looking at the plan, you can see that the property is it's very small. It's under 3,000 square feet in total area. Basically, we have an existing building, a 2-unit condo, and a driveway. So we really have almost no room to work in. So the entire project is going to be located in the driveway, which is currently made up of brick pavers. So what we have is a proposed septic tank, a pump chamber, which is a Septic model M400 unit, and then a bottomless sand filter leaching field, which will be raised up. It'll sort of, I guess the best way to describe it would be kind of like a median barrier between the two parking lanes. So because there's a garage door on either side of the condo, because it's a 2-unit condo. So obviously the entire system's within the flood zone because the entire property is in the flood zone. As far as the wetlands, I have a distance from the corner of the leach field from to the wetland, and the distance is 94.7 feet. The septic tank and the pump chamber are located outside of the 100-foot wetland buffer. We have a proposed silt sock shown in red, sort of acting as a divider between the work and the wetland. And that's kind of the general plan here. So I don't know if you guys have any questions.
All right, Amy, do you want to?
Yes, so DEP had no comments on this. I mean, like Rob said, it's a real tight site. Be a big upgrade to have a compliant Title V system here. So I think we have a lot of options. I am aware that there's a Board of Health meeting, I think, for variance requests, which is coming up a couple weeks. But otherwise, I think that this is a project we can condition. Thank you.
Richard?
The only thing I can see is really probably pretty minor. Is there a reason why the red isn't extended across all the way across the back? Just as a safety precaution.
Yep, so I left that sort of that left, or I guess the corner of the driveway open just for access. Because that's really the only way to get into the site.
Oh, they come in from up at the top.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, I got you.
Parking lot.
All right, I see. Okay. Yeah, no, the rest of it looks pretty necessary and an improvement.
Doug's not here tonight, right?
Right.
Penny?
No, there's nowhere else to put it.
Right.
Looks fine.
Jen?
I'm interested in understanding more about this proposed retaining wall, since we normally don't allow walls in this area. So I was just trying to understand that.
Yep, so this is, obviously we have a high groundwater table. So the leaching field had to be raised. And obviously we couldn't grade this out like we would want to because we don't have enough space. So to be able to put the leaching field in, we'd have to build a retaining wall. As of now, we have a modular block wall proposed. We may or may not change that out at some point, but that's what we have right now at the moment. So it's necessary for the system to function.
I guess I'm just so confused, and I know this site because I live in the area that and so it's going between the two garage doors. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, it's going to sort of act as like a median, so that a car can pull in on either side of the leach field and into each respective garage. Yep.
But why is the retaining wall needed for that?
Because the leaching field or the bottomless sand filter, it has to be elevated to meet.
Oh, so it's in the retaining wall.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, all right. And it needs to be that long?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
And I apologize if these questions are sounding simple and confusing, but we just have a lot of issues with walls in that area. So trying to truly understand why every single little inch of that should be there. But
I don't think we've ever conditioned anything like this before.
No,
no,
we haven't.
I guess that makes sense then. So if there's no other place to put it, then then that's there.
Maybe that should be more of the discussion.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about, like, this is in resource area, you know what I mean? Flood zone. And, you know, it's in buffered salt marsh. I mean, there's definitely sensitive resource areas there. But since a septic system is accessory to the use of the residents, I think it's like, it's a must allow. Like, I don't think it's an option to deny it, honestly.
But maybe
Although-
there's an alternative.
Yeah, but they should be looking for the best solution for sure. That would also meet our interests, assuming that this is it. I mean, what other alternatives were looked at, Rob?
Everything. The only alternative is a tight tank here. So obviously that's not what we want to do. And this was pretty much the only alternative we could come up with. That seemed acceptable.
Well, I'm going to keep going down the list for a minute and we'll circle back. Andy?
It's not here.
Okay. Brendan?
I just had questions about the retaining wall as well. That's all, but nothing additional, just what we're currently discussing.
Okay. So is there already a paver driveway on this whole backyard? Is that what that's what the little blocks are, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
So there's a whole, this whole surface at the rear of this house is totally a cobbled driveway.
Correct. Yep.
And so your intention is to, is there old leaching trenches under that cobbled driveway? Is that the line that we're seeing?
Yeah, it's probably a little hard to see because it's there's a lot going on, but yeah, the existing system is currently underneath the driveway.
Okay, and what's the height of the block retaining? I can see the elevation. I'm just looking for existing, looks like it's about 2 feet high.
Yep. By the
About
house.
30.
Yep. Closer to the house, I think it was about 2.5 feet. And then once you get out towards the end of the driveway, it got up to about 3.5 feet because it drops off a little bit towards the parking lot.
So the other septic systems that are done in that area, they're typically mounded enough to get that separation?
Typically, let's see, I think around this site, we actually didn't have any systems nearby.
No.
Just because it's the parking lot's obviously owned by the town. And I think the property next door, 67 Glades Road, is owned by, I think it was at this North Scituate Improvements Association. And there's no system on the lot next door. It's like a double lot. So I'm not sure if we go any further down what other systems are. But in the immediate area, this is kind of the only one that's around.
Amy, so, I mean, as Jen pointed out, it does bring up the question of creating some walls.
Well, I mean, I guess
And
what we
I-
could do is not close it and comment to the Board of Health that we're looking for a solution that doesn't include walls if possible, because we feel that it impacts those interests of storm damage prevention and flood control. And see what they have to say about it. Would be a good idea, I think. Because I know that they haven't met on this variance. It would be by variance that it would be accepted this way.
I mean, I guess when I look at this, the alternative would be that part of the driveway would have to go and then the system would be mounted there.
Yeah, mounting the system doesn't work because we'd have to elevate the entire driveway. So basically you'd be driving up a mound and then down into the garage, which we wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't be able to fit.
There's not enough room.
So it wouldn't work. We looked into it, but it didn't, we wouldn't be able to do that.
I mean, I guess if there's gonna be retaining walls, the way they've configured it is better than like running power again parallel with the back property line, or block everything off. Right now, you're
Yeah.
talking about something that's, I don't know, what is that, 10 feet, 12 feet wide?
Is it, I think it's actually, it's only about 6.7 feet wide,
Really?
less than 7. Yeah, it's pretty thin.
Hmm.
Or pretty narrow.
What, and then what's
Planter
on the,
box.
yeah, what's on the top of it? I was gonna ask, what goes on the top of it? Is it?
So I think we fill it up with sand. So we're actually not, with this particular system, we're not supposed to be planting anything on top of it. So it's just gonna be like sand. And I think there was a layer of gravel underneath as well. Yeah, it went pipe, pea stone, and then it was topped off with a layer of sand.
Hmm.
I know these are kind of unusual in Massachusetts, but they're very popular and used pretty widely down in Rhode Island. So I know that, we obviously don't see these too often, but they use them down there quite a bit.
I have seen that. Sometimes even just pressure treated wood that makes up the retainer. And then you put like a liner around the inside of the block
Yep.
wall.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I don't know that we can close this, given that we don't know what this variance could be.
I would have thought DEP would have said something. And they didn't have any comments.
Yeah, but that's not unusual. They don't
Okay.
always have technical comments on all these. Especially since, again, like coming back to the fact that Title V compliant system is considered a must for a property, but I mean, maybe a tight tank is the solution here. I'm not sure.
Well, nobody wants that if they can.
We don't, if you can have to do it.
That's an awful. Like I say, we just have never seen this application. When does the Board of Health meet?
Next Monday, I think it's the 25th.
25th.
It's kind of the whole site, Frank, down there. It's a huge parking lot, as we all know. And
Right.
it's all asphalt and the water kind of just flows. I mean, I just, it is something unique and new. But if you can't put it below ground, if we have to have it raised up, at least this is keeping the sand contained. Because if there wasn't something to encase it, of course, it would keep getting washed away and be exposed, the leaching field.
No, I get it.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Okay. So does somebody want to, I mean,
What do you want to do? You want to continue it till the next meeting, until after the Board of Health?
Well, let's see if we have any abutters.
right,
And I know I have one hand up. Mr. Tremblay. Unmute him.
sure.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hey, well, thank you for considering this and taking really careful consideration on this design. Let me preface this with saying that first off, we would have been very happy with some sort of conventional design, but the Grady Consulting had assured us that they had looked at every possibility. A tight tank would be a major impediment. This is a 2-unit condominium, and we really would be faced with pumping a tight tank weekly, if not less. It would be have a dramatic effect on not only our lifestyle, but the value of the property. The other thing I want to say is that this is a very sophisticated system. These septic tanks, pre-treatment tanks, really the effluent that they end up dripping into this bottomless sand filter is essentially gray water by the time they're done processing it. This is a very expensive proposition for us. It's far more expensive than a tight tank, and is essentially, when all is done, this is putting essentially very treated water into this sand filter. And the sand filter serves some filtering and also just to slowly disperse the fluid down into the natural soils below. And the retaining wall, I had a discussion with Rob this morning. We've talked about the modular blocks of Versatech blocks that do interlock and versus a poured cement wall with using some veneer over it, perhaps for decorative purposes, to try to make this thing integrate. But this is the last thing we wanted, but it is what we need to do to be sure that we're not sending nitrates into the marsh. We're very committed to making sure that this is a sustainable property environmentally. And that is not what you have all down through the glades. I mean, the glades is a big sand spit on top of a bunch of peat moss, and septic systems all around us are regularly flooded. There is a property next to us that Rob didn't mention that's further down, 75. They have a cesspool that constantly leaks out. They have an overflow pipe, and it leaks into the parking lot when there's a lot of rain. I mean, this is such a step above what is so common down there that I think it would be a very positive precedent to set, to say that this is the kind of environmental treatment that we want to take. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Tremblay. I I agree with you on the tight tank, and usually DEP won't allow a tight tank unless there's no alternative, so I don't think that would be there. I forget, who's the engineer for grading? What's your?
Rob.
Hey,
Carl's
Rob.
on. Yep.
Sorry, Rob. Sorry about that. So it's a groundwater separation thing, right? The old trenches are,
Yes, yep,
you can't be that close to the groundwater.
exactly. Yep.
Okay. Amy, I wonder if we could just make note, because this is probably going to come up again. And what I would hate to see is someone come in with a filing where that box was going in the other direction and then created some sort of obstacle for water to flow through there. So I'm just wondering that we make special note that if we're going to consider these kind of things, they have to be laid out in a way that allows for maximum flowage or something like that. Does that make sense?
You mean like for projects that come in front of this one?
Excuse me. So there'll be others. You know,
Yeah, I don't know how we would track this one to stand out that this has got a special design other than,
Well, I just think we as a commission, when we do this, should make note that when we've reviewed this particular system, we're allowing this in that configuration because the
there was no
applicant
other option.
and the applicants kept a narrow profile, and it's set up in a direction that doesn't impede or minimizes water that would be flowing through that. In other words, water's flowing from glades out to the marsh. And if this, for some reason, either the lot was configured differently or whatever, and this thing had to be going in the other direction, it would almost create like a barrier at the back.
Yeah.
Or wherever they decided to put it. Do you follow me? I
do, but I don't see how you're gonna stop this from impeding the flow of water, though.
Well, it has some impact on the flow of water, but if another applicant came in and said, oh, I want to put it across the front of my house, out in front of my home, it could actually
Stop the water.
It could actually be used to stop water from flowing.
Right. Well, all right. I have just this thought. So is the house elevated, Mr. Tremblay?
Yes, it is.
So water
First-
can flow under easily?
Yeah, so we have flood panels, flood vents that.
So you're not elevated then? You're not on piles?
I'm sorry, it's not on piling. The first floor is garages, so it's unfinished space. So the house is technically elevated. The first living floor is about 15 feet above grade. So we have got a lot of freeboard. And the garages all have flood vents, large panels that knock out, and they did on one occasion, some of them did, that allow water to pass through. Water, generally, if it did, it passes through the garages and out the garage doors. And so this sand filter was designed really to allow that water to pass as it normally does out the garage doors. The other point I want to make about flooding is that did happen one time. It was not a great amount, but it did happen. The majority of the time, any flooding that occurs is actually from the opposite side, from the marsh.
Okay. Excuse me. Rob, when I look at the other commission members, unless you have the filing up, it shows a maximum available area for a conventional system design. it's just like a really small wedge.
Yes.
So why would that be the only space available for a conventional system?
So when we put that, when we show that area, we have to maintain like property line setbacks, cellar wall setbacks. And so technically, like if you wanted to meet, Title V, that would be our wedge that we could use. So it's 80 square feet. Obviously we could fit a little more space if we went much closer to the property lines and closer to the cellar, but that's why it's such a small wedge, because we have to meet all of those when we show that particular area.
But you get variances for those, right? If it's an existing failed system.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And then, because this new system is quite a bit closer to the rear property line than what would be allowed there, and it's wider.
Yes. We made it long so that we could have a car pass on either side of it.
Long and narrow.
All right. Well, I mean, we could, it's up to you guys, what you want to, you could condition it subject to the Board of Health.
Yeah.
And close. Just a thought, Rob or Mr. Tremblay, if we close this subject to the Board of Health and then they came up with changes, if they're minor, we could probably amend the plan, but if they're more substantial, then you'd be back to starting over with us. So we could continue it, waiting on their approval, or we could close and condition it. But again, if they made some significant change, then you'd have to refile.
Can I ask what would be minor versus significant?
So, I mean, let's just say that they didn't like this particular system and you had to go back and make some, I'm not quite sure what you'd have to do to make it work if they weren't thrilled with this. I'm not sure what your alternatives were, but if it was a significantly different system than what you're proposing here, then you would have to refile. If they said to you, well, we think you need to make it a little longer, or maybe you need to make it 6 inches higher, or something, I don't know. But if it was minor in nature, we could amend the orders. Do you follow me?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I would suggest that if there was a substantial problem with it, and we have to go back to square one, then whether we had to, when we came before you would be maybe not the most limiting factor. So I'm going to ask that maybe you close it with conditions on the approval by the Board of Health. And if we have to go back to square one, then it's going to take a little more figuring than I can fathom right now.
Okay, just so you're aware of what your peril is. Okay. So did anybody else have any comment or questions?
Seeing none.
I'm glad Jen is watching this carefully. So
I'll make a motion to close, subject to, and conditions, subject to the Board of Health review. Approval, yes.
okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Oh,
She beat you, Jen.
I know. She did.
All right, all in favor See, Richard, Jen?
Yep.
And Brendan
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay, well, we learned a lot every day. Thank you.
Interesting, yes.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Good
luck
luck.
with it. Where are we now?
97. Central.
97 Central Ave.
Yep, I'm gonna make
Open
a
and
motion to
continue.
continue that, Frank.
I gotta open it
first.
first.
Oh,
Dave.
that's right. These are open. Sorry, I forgot.
On April 19th, 2022, 6 p.m. in the Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 4 of the Mass General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Michael Viviano for constructing a pier with a cantilevered kayak storage ramp and float, location 97 Central Ave, Scituate. Others and other interested parties are invited to attend, and information to access the virtual meetings available on the agenda posted on the town website. Now you can.
Now I can. I make a motion, we continue 97 Central Ave to May 16th.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor, Richard
Yes.
and Jen?
Yep.
Frank, yes. Okay.
I'm not quite sure on these Bailey's Causeways, Frank. I think they're new amendments, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I have to open them.
Yeah, you guys voted to consider the request to amend these properties which have valid orders for construction of, it was tear me downs, raise rebuilds with septic systems.
And we knew that we had to advertise this.
And so then, right, so they told you what they were asking to amend. And based on that request, we said, you said yes. And so then so now we then public notice, so a legal ad was run. So now we need to open them. But the thing is that they're not asking for an amendment anymore.
Yeah, it's withdrawal.
So it's a little bit unusual as to, I guess we open it and close it. I'm not sure exactly what you want to do. They asked to continue it, but I don't know why.
Well, I think if they ask to continue it, maybe they're pondering their options. So I think we should open it and continue it. Did they give a date to continue to, Amy?
May 16th.
Okay. So, well, let me open these first and then we can discuss it, okay? And don't make a motion to continue until we have an opportunity to discuss it.
Yes, sir.
For anybody that might be inclined to do it from the hip.
No way.
On April 19th, 2022 at 6 p.m. the Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, to amend the order of conditions issued under DEP file number 68-279 6A and 68-279 7A regarding the application. I'm just going to jump them together. Regarding the application of Richard and Janet Walden for work related to raising and rebuilding single-family dwellings on property located at 36 Bailey's Causeway, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information and access to the meeting will be available on the agenda posted on the town website. So I'm sorry, Amy. So the applicant is just, they requested a continuance till a date, and you've obviously, we were out there, you, Penny, myself, and Bob Gray, right, looking over the site,
Right.
and we found a number of things that we weren't really
Happy with.
So that might have been their reason to continue and sort of sift out what their options are, I guess. But we also think that they're in violation. Amy, did you file anything on that part of it?
No, I mean, we just received end of last week, the comments from the consultant. So I'm gonna start by forwarding that, but I mean, I don't know, maybe what you want me to do is write a letter to them, just asking them to withdraw. Because I don't think that you're inclined to amend anything
Well,
based on the meeting out there,
Mm.
right?
well, I think they have the right to bring it forward to the commission and let their consultant give his reasoning.
Well, but he already said though that they're not asking to do what they were asking to do.
Right, well, let's see what they're proposing. I guess we'll give them the option to do that. They paid for this, they requested an amendment, so let's see what they come up with, or maybe they'll just drop it at that meeting. But the other part is the enclosure of one of the structures. That's pretty evident when we were there. How does that get addressed?
Well, I mean, with the memo that we went over, like all the points, I guess we've got probably a laundry list of non-compliant items. So whether, I mean, if everybody's agreeable to coming up with a new plan, then I don't think it needs to be necessarily simultaneous with an official enforcement order. But, so maybe that's just a notice of violation. So we'll start with that. You know, because I mean, there was short
What's the
things.
difference, but
Mm.
what's the difference between a notice of violation and an enforcement order?
Well, the enforcement orders, the like official DEP form that
Okay,
has got more legal weight, I think, than just the notice of violation is just putting them on notice at first.
okay.
And why would, I mean, knowing that that isn't supposed to be enclosed?
Why would you not
Issue an
issue an
enforcement.
enforcement order? I'm not sure it's necessary, but I can take a look at it.
Okay. And then, I don't know, like I say, we also just noted a number of other plantings and a bunch of stuff that we found.
Yeah, there was a whole laundry list of items down to a DEP sign not posted. You know?
And you're sharing that, or you forwarded Bob's comments or report on to the applicant?
Not yet, but I will.
Okay. All right. So given that, when do they want to continue them to?
16th.
16th.
Does
Yeah,
anybody
the
else-
next available date is going to be May 16th for this.
Did anybody
I-
else have any questions on this, Penny?
The only question is, Frank, you said the one house, it was closed in. Are you sure the back house? I think that's a solid closed in too.
Oh, I didn't walk back there, Penny.
Cause
So
that, yeah, I'm pretty sure both are identical, if I remember in my little brain when we were walking out there. So I just don't want them to just do one and not the other, because that has to be corrected,
okay.
okay?
All
Other than
right.
that, do you want me to make a motion to continue these?
Yes, please.
I make a motion, we continue 36 and 36R Bailey's Causeway until May 16th.
Okay, well, they're both 36 Bailey's Causeway. They just have different DEP numbers, but we know what you mean.
Well, one says R on it, rear, so, okay.
Okay, you're right. Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second
Second,
from Jen. All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great, thank you. Okay. You guys knocked them dead tonight. What else do we have left?
Administrative
I
item.
mentioned that you might have a Boy Scout update from your meeting last week.
So,
We,
anything else?
Well, we've got, what's this on 50 Surfside? Planting plan? Do you have that, Amy?
Yeah, did I not send it out to you guys? That anyways, there's a planting plan for one of the conditions that was on those orders. It was just like 6 months ago, whatever, that one came in for an amended orders. And there was a vegetated buffer that was required. So
Yes.
they had a landscape architect draw up pretty detailed plans for this vegetated buffer that looks good. And pretty sure I sent it out. It might have got, it might have been a while ago though, that it
I
came
don't
to you.
remember.
We
Okay,
can send
but
it
it
out
looks
again,
good
but
to you?
it looked good. I think you can take a vote on accepting it as a minor modification. Accepting the new planting plan.
Would you like to do that, Frank?
I'm just waiting for you to make a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept a new planting plan, the minor modification of 50 Surfside Road.
Second,
It was Richard, so all in favor. Jen,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay. Anything else?
Anything new, Amy, with the enforcement orders? That you want to share?
Yeah, so, well, you skipped over Coastal Advisory Commission liaison.
Okay,
No.
let's,
Aren't you gonna do that, Amy? Okay, yes, I did.
I can't remember if we put this out there before, but Jen
We,
is. Go
Ben
ahead.
was our
Go ahead, Frank.
temporary agent or temporary liaison.
And she's got a couple other things in the mix right now, so.
I'll do it if it doesn't, but it can't interfere with CPC.
Okay.
What
they
day
seem
of
to,
the
they,
week they meet on, Jen?
They're
Meeting
meeting
today, actually, right now,
Yeah.
at the library.
Well, see, that's,
yeah, but that's
That's a
because we're on a
problem.
Tuesday. That's because we're on a Tuesday, not a normal.
No, they're normally on Tuesdays.
Brenda, did you want to
But
say
we're
something?
not.
The mic seems to be really tied up with all these other people. Did you?
Brendan, do you want to do it?
I had my turn.
Well, initially, I guess when Jen took it, it was floated that I might be the replacement. So, I want to
Good to
do
have
my
it.
part. So
Okay.
I could do it.
Oh, that's wonderful, Brendan.
It would probably help
Once a
our,
month, I think.
well, I mean, I don't think you need to go to every meeting, that's for sure. And they do, the nice part is they do have a new coastal person who seems to be moving things forward, but it can get involved. There's a lot of different aspects to this. So maybe we can, Penny could share the burden with
yeah.
you, Brendan. How'd you like to work closely with her on that?
That would be fantastic.
You bet, you bet.
Good
I think I
answer.
would learn a lot.
Good
Yeah.
answer.
I do
All
think
right.
that there's some value in kind of like the way we did it, of saying like, okay, let's revisit this in 9 months or something. So it's not just like you're stuck with it for eternity.
Right.
So that, there is a little bit of a rotation to it.
Well, I think it's important that we're part of that because most of these projects will come before the commission and
Yes, they do.
would like to have a sense of what's going on, but there's also, seems like there's multiple groups discussing different alternatives and stuff, so it can, just want to be careful it doesn't become consuming, so. But that'd be great. Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah, and Brendan, just so you know, there's gonna be like official correspondence and swearing in and that sort of thing too, so
Oh,
I'll-
okay.
Don't scare them off. Just,
I'll get that going. Well, I didn't realize it was, because it's a committee that is advisory, you know what I mean? So but I didn't realize it was one that I guess you have to take an oath on or something like that.
well, no
Do it.
different
Takes
than
30 seconds. Kathy does it.
Well, we do now, so.
I have to swear an oath?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you'll,
Oh, that's gonna be great.
I
Okay.
don't think we could find a member that's further away from the ocean.
All right.
Richard can relay to you what's going on. with
Oh,
this.
absolutely. It'll be fun, Brendan. You'll enjoy every minute of it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, you'll be lucky because Richard's wife also had a really vested interest in this. So you may not quite get the same feedback that Richard did.
That's true.
but in the beginning, there was some very contentious things, Frank, going on, remember, down in Hummerock?
Right,
Very contentious
Right.
with the burn.
Yeah,
and
there
so
were.
forth.
yeah. Well, sea level rise is gonna be more than
Yeah.
contentious.
No, I know, but it was pretty hot and heavy there for a while.
The
Yeah.
good news is, Brendan, your kids might have a real interest in some of this stuff, watching what's going on. They could advise you.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you.
Um,
Okay, so now we can go, oh,
Open
certificates of
space.
compliance. So there's a
Excuse me.
708 CJC was an old addition slash a little bit of pavement by the by the garage from 2002. So that
Okay.
one, that was an interesting property, let me tell you. The septic system's not even on the property. Now how they got, there was in a Livingstone one. But anyways, so there's that one, and then there's also 161 Hollitt, which was a new build from Diamond Development back in
Yeah,
2012, and that has a partial, but it was waiting on some growing seasons, which have gone by. So I think we're good to issue that too. And there's a closing on that one as well.
Yeah,
can
that
I
house,
ask a question there?
sure.
161, is that the last one before you hit Country Way or the second to last, Amy? I can't remember.
I think it's the last one, Penny.
Yeah.
I hope so, because the second to last one, I know they went out back and cleared when we told them not to.
Well, that's
Okay.
167 with the pool.
No, that's 157 with the pool. That's another one. That's two houses down.
Oh,
The
yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
New one,
It's-
when
it's a
they
few
come
from
for a
that.
CSC, they've got issues there. That's all. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it
Um,
is about Hollitt.
I don't need it because I'm shocked
Well,
at that pool.
The problem is that marsh comes in the back, and then what happened there is that some of that property was owned by a contractor from years ago
Oh, yeah.
who had-
Petra Salad.
who had dumped, yeah, and Bonomi's, because they
Yeah.
were,
Yeah,
and so a lot of stuff got dumped out in back of there, and maybe well before the Wetlands Protection Act, so
oh,
unfortunately.
yeah, sure, Frank, it was before then. No, because, they were big contractors when I moved to Scituate in 50.
Right,
They did work on my parents' house.
so I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
possible.
Well, the thing is, the lady came in about the pool, last year? And I do believe we told her, don't go behind it. And wow, all of a sudden the clearing, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I spoke to the husband and he said there was some storm damage from October that he had just cleaned up, but looks like it was a little
Looks like
more than
clear
that.
cut to me. But
Yeah, no, and it'll all grow back, but,
is he gonna leave it alone?
that he said he was going to,
Okay,
but
Remember the Finnegan's property? They were
Yes.
trying to clean up in back of there, and they came before us, and then they filed, and it's very similar situation next door. Looks like these folks have gone back and done some clip, maybe some trees got blown over or something, but
yeah, there
You
was
can
some tree damage, but
you can see piles of gravel and rocks and stuff that have just all gotten grown over.
yeah,
But they're also in the buffer. And then there's a
Right.
wet, and they're.
they are definitely. Well,
ju-
and we discussed how close they were when they did that pool.
Right,
yeah, the above ground pool. Okay,
yeah, but 159 Penny, I think, is the one that you're concerned about.
Yeah, well, I am concerned because they put the fence
159.
up so we can't see, and from my eyeballs, they definitely went and did what they wanted when we left.
Okay, well,
159, so the same side of the street though, 159?
Yeah.
Next
yeah.
door.
Man,
Well,
All right,
both of those were, I think, diamond projects.
Yes, they were.
lovely.
Yeah.
They were.
Well, that's what happens when you give somebody no backyard, you know?
Well, they're everywhere. I mean, every place that we've said to do something, the only thing we could put up is a steel sheeting if we really wanted to keep them out.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Okay,
But
well, look at we could be out of here pretty quick tonight.
Yeah.
So,
Right,
Go.
and so, all right, but on to enforcement, so 7 Dunbar, that you should have seen, hopefully, that we did get a proposal that I'm gonna get Art Allen to comment on, but I mean, it's a little not what we were looking for since we said restoration plan
have we heard back from Art on that one yet?
and
Amy?
assessment. Well, he said, I just informally heard back from him that he said that, well, that's one way you could handle it.
Yeah,
is
I
what he
think I
said.
saw that. So are they asking to present that or,
Yeah, because that site is continued, I think, to maybe the next agenda.
okay. All right, well, we should try to get up to speed on that a little bit and see if that's something we can, or I guess.
Yeah,
we'll
I'll have Art at the next meeting, hopefully, actually, too, on that. But,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, the gist of it is that they want to just basically do a little bit of restoration, not build the garage by the road and pull the shed out supposedly, but build an addition and then, I don't know, and then try to give you some money is what they want to do.
Well, they're making some assumptions, but I think we should talk to Art and see what which way we think at the end of the day would be better served.
Yeah, for sure. For
Okay,
sure.
All right.
And then, all right, so 208 CJC and 5 Cushing Landing are 184 CJC, those two. So
Mhm.
actually I see that some of those folks are on the call. And so we did get copies, which I sent over, of the 184
Yeah.
plan showing they identified what was cut, and then a plan to plant, and I passed that along to Bob Gray, but I'm still waiting for him to fund that too, but I did not receive comment on that. But I know that they are, you know, they definitely want to get something understood or agreed upon as soon as possible so they can continue to work out there, because that one is a new house, and then the other one also would like to keep it rolling, but I don't have anything official on 208 CJC for a restoration plan yet, but I expect hopefully maybe this week. And I've been getting regular updates from the owner of the property, so I'm quite confident that that's going in the right direction. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on the one that we did receive, like if you just want to wait till we get Bob's comments and then try to figure out some kind of an agreement of like escrow, or, you know, whether or not you're going to penalize, like what that would be. I mean, we need to start having those types of conversations too. I don't know if you want me to come up with some
So,
numbers.
Miss-
I think like what we had discussed in the field is we were going to put, like, see what they came up with, see if we agreed with the approach and agreed with the assessment. And then, you know, I guess try to put a value on it. In case, you know, and I guess you put a value on it to guarantee that it's going to be done, and you hold it for a certain amount of times, just in case it doesn't get done. So you could actually do it yourself.
Right.
And whether that's in the form of cash or bond.
So just so the members know right now, on the 5 Cushing Landing, they have a cease and desist on a house they're starting to frame. Right? I get that right?
Yeah.
And that one has lesser cutting than 208.
Yeah.
But still, there's cutting in jurisdiction. It's right up it's right on the marsh. So we have that. And then with 208, they are waiting on a certificate of occupancy for their house. I guess they have a partial, but they're looking for a full one. And that's being held up until we get some resolution here. So I'm assuming that the 184 would like to get started again. And I'm just wondering if they've made enough progress. I mean, they're not going to get far with that house that we couldn't be holding up their certificate of occupancy as well if they're not in compliance. So I'm just wondering if that's something we want to consider just yet, or you want to wait to hear from Bob. We definitely are going to ask them for a guarantee that this gets done in the meantime. So, but once they get started on their project, I don't want to be negotiating that.
I think we should wait on Bob, and they're the ones that created this issue, so I don't feel bad if we have to make them wait a little bit until we get all the information we need.
Well,
Penny?
yeah, the shocking thing, Richard, is when you go out there,
I've
the
been out
number
there.
of trees, both of them, especially the one with the house waiting for the on 3A. And we
No,
told
I
them,
pass there all the time. I've been
yeah,
there. I know
but
what
they
you mean.
were really, when you see it on the ground, it was like, holy Toledo.
Yep.
But we did make the comment when we were out there that you're not gonna plant twigs.
No,
I mean, these were good sized trees, so I mean, it's gonna be interesting, because the number where the boathouse is going, I mean, that's a lot of trees, Frank. When you
No,
cut that
I-
parking.
They both are going to need.
Yeah,
And I
I-
think Richard did go through there when he was at.
Yeah. well, we definitely need to make sure there's funds put aside somewhere for that, because it isn't gonna
Absolutely.
be a cheap
nope.
undertaking at all from them. It's gonna be very costly.
Yeah, but Penny, I don't think we should be at all apologetic about it. We
Oh,
didn't
I'm not
create it.
apologetic. No, I'm
no.
saying I want money put aside. I'm not the least bit apologetic.
Good. Okay.
No.
Amy, I think Sean Sullivan is maybe the attorney for 184.
Do you want me to unmute Sean?
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
All right, so just, whoa.
Oh,
All
we're
right,
gonna-
just to be clear, Sean Sullivan, he is an attorney for the owner of 184 CJC, but Sean, so we're not discussing responsibility here, but if you have some thoughts or you want to like assure the commission, give us some assurances or short words, we'll listen for about a minute or so. That's okay.
Can you unmute Sean?
Hi,
Yeah.
thank you,
So
everyone.
you should be all set.
evening.
Understood, Sean?
And I understand everyone's concerns, and I'm not here to get into who did what, or he said, she said. The issue is what I want to just talk about is that we're doing everything as we possibly can, as fast as we can. As you know, we were out there on April 8th. We had Mike Ball, who's the wetland scientist, put together a plan after the assessment. We got the plan back from Morse Engineering. We've indicated the 17 trees that have been cut. Currently, Mr. Keaveney has, pallets of framing lumber sitting outside, and the project is obviously just exposed to the elements. And, I understand the concern, but I think that what would be ideal for the moment is that, if you can at least continue onward just to get the project close to being weather tight. The project itself, the construction's outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, and we're giving assurances, and I think we're being clear by showing that we're sparing no step. I mean, we're showing we're marking every single tree that has been cut down on there. We're taking every measure to, to support that. Unfortunately, Mr. Ball is on a planned vacation to Italy, but we want the commission to understand that, you have the full assurances that, this is going to be remediated regardless of who did it or why it occurred. So we want to reiterate that to the commission, and we'd like to be able to have permission to have the cease and desist at least temporarily lifted. I mean, this is a daily, incurrence of cost for my client, and that's all I wanted to say on the matter.
Sean, how long do you think it would be before, how much time do you think it would be to get this to a point where we could at least establish maybe the value of that damage and talk about, whether it's a monetary, some funds that are held by the commission or a bond or something like that. I'm just wondering if we were to lift, I get Mr. Keaveney's wanting to move forward, and I wouldn't, given the fact that you guys had someone there that day and you have moved forward in the manner that I think the commission looks for someone to do. This is myself speaking, other commission members may feel differently. How much time would it take to pull that together? In other words, if we were to lift the cease and desist order and said, we can do that for 30 days or 45 days or something. Amy, do you think that we would get to a point where we could, we know we're not going to get it fixed that fast, but.
Right. Well, I guess it depends on exactly what you're looking for. I mean, we're moving as fast as humanly possible. Mike Ball is aware of that as well. And as soon as he gets back from his trip to Italy, the plan is to at least at a minimum go through what we put on the proposed narrative that was sent over earlier that outlines what he had suggested for plantings, which was the red cedar, certainly see here, the 12 eastern red cedars, the 4 black cherries, the 4 red maples, 6 American hollies, 12 northern arrowwoods, and 20 switchgrass, which that's, if what the commission would like would be a pricing on those particular items, then we're happy to do that as, within, I'd say, a week, 2 weeks,
Well, I think we'd want to hear back from our consultant if he agrees with that first. I guess what I'm wondering, and again, it's the commission, I know that we're not happy about this. But
are you looking for a good faith payment, like towards a bond? Is that?
No, I guess I'm first off, I'm just wondering if we were to lift the cease and desist, and we said we can do that for 30 days to come to a resolution on this. Is that enough? I don't know if any of the other members want to even entertain it. But we have a number of things available to us where the house is under construction, including you wouldn't get a certificate of occupancy until we get some of these things resolved. But
well, I think that, Mr. Keaveney's clearly stopped the project since getting the enforcement order. I mean, he's made, that's been very clear, and we're trying to do everything possible to, comply with what the Conservation Commission wants. And this situation is very unfortunate. And what, within 30 days, if the construction, let's say the construction were to continue tomorrow, for example, if the cease and desist were hypothetically allowed to be lifted, the house would be nowhere near a CO within 30 days. I mean, it's not even remotely close to that. I think from what I saw, there was 1 to 2 sidewalls, that were just framed up with plywood, and
I think he's 6 months out before he's at best. If he can pull that off, he's doing good today.
I agree. And I just, I don't know if anyone noticed today with the winds yesterday and last night. I mean, it was rain and high wind. I mean, I personally had 2 tree limbs go down in my yard alone. And what, we'd like to avoid is any damage from the sidewalls getting knocked over from the wind, anything that we just want to get it, as close to being weather tight, as possible. And obviously if we need to revisit things in 30 days, I mean, more than happy to do it. I mean, we want the commission know that you have our continued assurance, and we're working towards fixing this as much as we humanly possibly can.
Can I just run through the commission? Amy, do you want to comment on that first, or let me run through folks and see what their thoughts are?
Sure, I mean, I definitely think that we need to verify the accuracy of what was submitted and see if we agree with the approach. But as far as the lift is in the latter part of the discussion, I mean, honestly, I think it seems reasonable, but it's definitely a commission vote.
Okay, but again, I think it needs to be understood that if we don't make the progress we're making, or if we get stuck, we can, again, reinstitute
Back
this
on.
CFC. So, but I'd like to know what other folks think, because this is a frustrating one for sure. Richard?
Yeah, I'd be okay with a kind of a 30-day moratorium, understanding that we'll put it right back in place if there isn't appropriate progress.
Okay, Penny?
Yes, I'm for letting them start up again.
Okay, Jen?
Excuse me.
I think it's good, and we revisit it in 30 days. So maybe we have to, as part of this discussion, determine which meeting that is, and it goes on the agenda and we talk about it then.
Okay. Brendan?
Yeah, I would also agree to the lifting the.
Okay,
cease-
so
It
if
would
we
be
were out
28
on,
days to the 16th.
that's our next meeting?
That's not our next
That
meeting,
sounds
but it's the
good.
one.
Oh, no,
closest
not
to
our
30
next
days.
meeting, but so what do you think, Sean?
I think that would be great. I think is the next meeting the 16th.
Yeah,
No,
we-
it's 2 meetings away.
It'd be a couple of meetings out. So if we give you roughly 28 days to see if we can bring that, we'll lift the cease and desist for about 28 days till the 16th, and we can see where you guys are, and we'd either vote to reinstate it or continue to progress with the resolution.
That sounds good. And I mean, we'll definitely get the comments from Bob Gray over to you sooner than that. I
Okay,
mean,
that's
I
what I
know
was gonna
he
ask.
actually is also going away for a few days at the end of the month. And I know he's not available to be on the meeting on May 2nd, but so it means he would be on May 16th, but I do expect that he would be able to comment also before that, so you guys could maybe have some back and forth. So maybe we can get a lot resolved at that
I think
time.
we'll be able to, absolutely.
All right, do we need to vote that, Amy?
Lift the cease and desist.
Yeah, I think I would do that and as you
28
discussed.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to lift the cease and desist for 5 Cushing Landing for 20 till our, is it May 6th?
16th.
16th
Yep.
meeting.
Yep.
I move what Frank just said.
That's Penny. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second,
Jen got it. Jen got it.
Hi.
Grace.
That was close. That was very graceful, Richard. All in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes,
and Frank, yes. Okay.
Okay, they can go back to work. We'll see you in a month. And
All right,
hopefully
thank you.
things will
All right,
be
thank you.
better.
Thanks, Sean,
Okay.
and we do appreciate at least Mr. Keaveney's cooperation so far.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
147 Hollis Street. What's that?
Well, all right, so now actually we've got Sean Pacheco has got his hand up. So he might want some
Okay.
direction, but as I
Sure.
said, with that one, I don't have anything in hand with that, but we might as well just.
Sure.
Okay, hold on. Sean, I'm gonna unmute you, but keep it short and no he said, she said, please.
Sean?
Yep.
Okay.
How
Okay,
you-
Sean.
So I just had a quick question. So obviously, we're in the process of working with Greg Morris and Brad Holmes as well, trying to get the remediation plan to you guys. The intent was to try to get it by this Friday. I know Greg's already come out to the site this past Monday and kind of went through everything again, had his site guy come out and mark all the trees as well. So obviously our intent is to work with you guys and get this rectified as soon as possible. I honestly don't have a problem with the cease and desist continuing, because obviously I want to get this figured out properly before anything goes forward. The only question I had was with my occupancy with my main house, because I know we discussed this previously, that the main house was actually, it's two separate permit applications for my house and for the boathouse, separated by a year from the applications. And I know we mentioned before that my occupancy has been held up for this. And I know I talked with Amy when we were at the site last week about issues with, getting draws and being able to pay contractors and whatnot because of the occupancy not being given. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about that because the intent is to continue with the main house yard, walkways, trees, putting up bushes and whatnot. I just wanted to get some input with that because I know I have contractors chasing me down for money, and honestly, without the occupancy, I'm not able to get any more draws. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts are on that.
So I think that what we'd like to see is some more progress. Comparing your site to the other one, they already had, the day that we were out there, they already had someone in the field marking all these. They've gotten back to us with a plan. It's in our consultant's hands. We haven't seen that on your site.
Yeah, I know Greg Morris has the all the trees marked. He had his site guy go out there. I can ask him to forward that to you. We were just waiting on Brad Holmes, and Brad actually spoke with us several times and by email. And his plan was to come out this week and kind of go through everything, confirm with Greg's plan, which were and were not, in the on the site and in the proper marking. So he's planning on coming out this week. He wasn't sure which day, but I know Greg has something he can probably give to you now that has a general idea. We just need Brad to kind of go over everything and confirm, the trees and the proper.
So I think my feeling is that needs to go to Bob Gray. Let Bob review it, see if he's in agreement with it. We need to come up with a monetary, figure out how much it would cost to do that work. And then let you either post a bond or whatever you do to guarantee that work gets done before we consider anything on the occupancy. I think the two of them are tied together enough, is my personal feeling, that's where we have to be with this. I mean, quite honestly, right now, we have a fine and whatnot on that piece of property, but there's really not much, we don't have much leverage, if you will.
Right.
So the sooner you can get these guys together and we can come up with some number that covers that, we've already shown we're willing to work with folks. We understand that there's other things other than just this, but I think that your best bet would be to pressure those folks to move it along for your sake.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I mean, if anybody else wants to weigh in, feel free. Richard,
I agree with you, Frank.
Penny.
Nope, we just need something in hand showing us what's gonna happen.
Well, we need that, and we need to know what the value of that is.
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Okay.
hand in hand, yep.
Brendan.
Well, Brendan can go, and then I wanted to say a word too.
Okay, yeah, I don't have any additional. to add.
All right, I skipped Jen.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Amy.
Oh, and just, so Sean, I mean, yeah, as soon as you can get that in, we'll get it over to Bob Gray, the consultant. And I mean, and also we'll continue this on to the agenda for May 2nd. And so, I mean, we can try to have the same conversation at our next meeting. And if you're, you've shown a lot of progress before then, I mean, maybe we can have comments by then.
Okay, yeah, I fully expect that to be done the next week, if not sooner.
Yeah, it's just, I know Bob won't be there, so I mean, if it's in before he leaves, maybe he can take a look at it, but again, we're gonna be looking for accuracy and whether we agree with the plan to restore. And then
Okay.
trying to tag a value to it, so.
Right.
Amy, does Bob work with anybody else? In other words.
As a matter of fact, he does. I met a wetland scientist that was shadowing him the other day out in Hummerock.
So when you were talking to Bob, so that these guys aren't penalized for his vacation or whatever, if he's willing to pass that on. Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what we can do. And, I mean, honestly, the plan, I think that the plan we're going to see is going to be pretty much what we saw for Keaveney.
Okay. Well,
Because it's the same plan. He identified every tree on both properties.
Okay. All right. Well, Sean, we'll try to push your folks along, and if Bob's not available, maybe he can designate somebody so that we can don't hold that up on this end.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All
Thanks.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. What else? What's 147 Holland?
Well,
That's the guy with the
well, I
pool.
put 147 Holland on because that was the one. Well, that's not the same one that Penny was talking about, but I thought that was so, but there's a couple on Holland Street. So there's
Okay.
more.
Oh, good.
And they're just on the list. Like, I just, as a matter of point, last week was crazy with enforcements, and it's just, this stuff takes a lot of time. But there's others that aren't even on this list. How about that? But
Well, actually, 147, I think is one that needs to be.
it is
That's
one,
the
but
I was talking about. That's the one with the pool.
yeah,
I
but then
got
there's
it.
also 151, but in 62 Glades, Jen Foley pointed that one out, and that
Yeah,
owner stepped right up, and he's away this week. This is vacation week, so I don't think I'm gonna see anything from him this week, but
Is he aware of the orders that were given?
he
and
is.
the
I sent him
agreement?
everything.
Okay.
And he's just got some challenges that he's trying to fix with the vegetation and with people pulling off on his property. So we thought that a wall would be the way to go, but and he's
Wasn't.
anyways, but so I told him he can talk to you about it, but I don't know.
Okay.
walls.
People want to do what they want to do, I suppose. All right, so now I think we're down to open space projects, Frank.
So just, I did, is it Matt? Jen, correct me. Is it Matt Dunn that did the work at the Driftway Park?
Yes, I think.
It's Matthew Dunn was the one at the Driftway Park, and I think he did a great job. And I signed off his paperwork for his Eagle badge. The other night I went to the scout meeting and signed that off, and he was really enthusiastic, and I think we're fortunate that he took that on, and it was a nice asset. And then I met with another Eagle candidate, and he's trying to get his paperwork done so that we can go to work on getting the rest of the signage up and some of the things, the kiosk work and stuff like that. And he's trying real hard to get his things together before he turns 18. So, yeah. And there was a couple more in the mix, and there's a new group of scout leaders. People change over time, and they've said, if we have a project in mind or cleanup in mind or something like that, they're more than happy to talk with us about it. So it was positive discussion.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then the good news is, it seems like they're, after COVID and all that stuff, they're coming back fast, and they've got a good group. So that's nice to know. That's it for me.
What about Damon? Did that go out to bid? That went out, right?
It did, Penny. It did.
Okay, we're moving.
Yeah.
Hip, hip,
And there's a
hooray.
scenic hearing on it on May 12th.
For the removal of a
Scenic
few of the
road.
trees. on the entrance.
Is that something that we need to attend?
Oh, planning.
I think, do they do most remote and, what was the
I
date
think-
on that, Amy?
The 12th, May.
Okay,
I think you got to check their agenda because they've been going back and forth between remote and in person.
Well, that's exciting.
okay, well, we'll talk about that. 'cause I'm
Yeah, the
actually-
last I saw, it's looked like it was remote, but then I think that the board might be there and then they have like kind of a hybrid thing going on. I don't know. It's kind of confusing.
All right, well, we'll look into that because I might need a little help with that. I've got a vocational thing that night, but it's also remote, so maybe just need 2 computers. All right.
We'll set you up with a command center.
Yeah. good
All right.
idea. Oh, and then
Sounds way
storm
too
damage
high-tech.
cleanup, Peggety Beach.
Yeah,
So as usual, I mean, it was wild down there today. I don't know who was, were you down there, Jen? I mean, it was crazy.
No, I
Yard.
haven't left the house yet.
Yeah, no, the sea was ripping, but anyways, it was crazy. And I mean, there's definitely storm damage and sand, lots of it. And I just trying to figure out a way to get in front of the dune issues that happened the last couple of years out there where that just seemed like it was random placement of sand and then it was sculpted and then fenced, and we had a lot of complaints from the residents. And same kind of challenges for Townway Extension where it seems like they're not necessarily moving the material back to the beach, but they're, in some cases, they're adding material to just stabilize roadway. But Townway, actually, both Townway and Inner Harbor Road, they're both private, actually.
Mhm.
Yep.
But the beach, like just 6 feet on the other side of the houses, all those houses on Inner Harbor, it's town property. So, you know, we've been helping to, you know, I don't know, facilitate the cleanup for those properties because they're in such tough locations by doing administrative permitting, but we just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And so actually I'm trying to work with Corey, the coastal resource officer, who's very busy doing grants, but she's also offered to try to engage with some of the folks down there. And also she has been participating in the beach committee. And one of the things that she had going on was trying to change the entrance there so that it was not a straight shot, but maybe it was a little more protective of the dune. So we're just trying to do more dune management, which would be in the best interest would be to try to get a thriving dune there that didn't get totally mauled every time, but it's kind of a challenge.
well, it's spring and everybody's gonna start to do something at their house, so.
Well, I know, and it just seems like a lot of times it's a free for all, and that's just not really okay.
Right, I
mean,
do
there's-
think,
you know.
like you and I discussed before, though, if possible, I know everybody's got so much going on, if we get calls or are made aware of violations, Amy, and you know, you've got a bunch of stuff you're on too, what is the process, or what's the threshold for like contacting Craig Keefsay and say, we know that there's a violation, or we believe there's a violation at this place, and let him respond to it, as opposed to, you know, sending a letter and then, you know, the people finishing the project or making more progress. You know, I don't want to, we don't want to be stepping on toes. We don't want to do things that create more issues, but trying to figure out a way so that you're not having to run out for every phone call that we get.
Right, I know. So, I mean, I think that's, you know, could be useful maybe on just to verify certain situations, but honestly, I have a lot of success when I am able to meet people and kind of get them in action. You know,
Yeah,
and
no-
although it's not that I haven't in the past involved the police on a number of jobs too, where, I don't know, I guess maybe I've been here for a while and I guess I'm more comfortable with the lay of the land and some of the people that
No, I think it's great if you could do it.
property I
but this-
trust going on, and I'm not that intimidated by people, but some people can try to like shoot you, so I
Yeah.
try to stay away from them.
Well, I'm not thinking so much that, it's more, given the things that you and Jen already have going on in the office, trying to get, process applications, all these sort of things. Is there a way, and we're gonna discuss more of this on Thursday, but if we think that that's a possibility, so that we can at least notify people quickly to say, hey, you may be in violation. Or there's a good chance you're in violation or whatever. And then, they can choose to proceed or they can stop. And then obviously sooner or later, it's going to come to you guys in the office gals in the office to deal with it. But just.
Yeah, it's just, so the thing is that, and I observed this when I first started, because remember, I mean, there was literally a spreadsheet of enforcements I think there was like 40 of them, open enforcements when Pat was still here, and a lot of them were in Hummerock. And then when, Lisa was on the board, and so there was a little bit more board presence down in Hummerock, you know what I mean? But so a lot of it was
Richard,
Hummerock.
don't take that personal.
No,
didn't.
that's
didn't.
not to be
No.
personal at all, but it's just, but then it's like, at some point though, it's like, you make progress with the ones that see, you can't pick every battle because there's too many of them. But I don't know, unless you have more staff. So that's the thing, is that at that point we had an extra 20-hour a week position. And so, 2 years into this, they stopped that. So
Right.
for the
Okay.
last 3 years or so, it's been just me. And yeah, I don't know.
All right, well, let's discuss that some more, but I don't think anybody would be opposed to taking some help if we can get it.
Yeah, enforcement it's a little bit of a dance, you know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep. Oh,
And I think that I don't know, is it old saying that you get more cooperation, with, like, even the DEP enforcement manual, and encourages, using the friendly and like enforcement as the first route.
And I don't think that just, asking Craig to show up at these, he's not a mean person. I think he's got good demeanor and
Absolutely.
good tact, and it's a different presence there. And not to say that you couldn't stop that or whatever, but it's the physical ability to be at all those places.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, prepare,
Do the office work.
review the filings, all that sort of thing that need to get done. So we'll just keep all that in mind, and let's not belabor this anymore this evening.
Yeah, because as you
All
said,
right.
Frank, we have a chance of getting out of here tonight at a decent hour, but I can't promise that
It's-
the next meeting or two.
It's slipping away, so
Yeah,
I'll,
it's another day.
all right, let's go. Is there anything else? The only
Nope.
other part that I really, really screwed up on is last meeting. I really wish I got a picture of Jen Smith, like choking, trying not to laugh.
At you,
And I didn't take my headset off this evening.
leave it on.
Because it was pretty funny. She's making all these gestures and stuff. I didn't know if we were playing charades or what it was. And then just trying not to burst out in total laughter at me.
You're
That
getting
must have been
senile,
hard.
Frank. You're getting up there, dear.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. All right, well, I'm open for a motion here.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
Second.
That was Jen. All in favor. Richard,
Yep.
Brendan,
Yes.
Frank, yes. Great. Thanks so much.
Have a
Good
good night
night.
all.
Have a nice evening.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice
Good
night. Thank you.
Take care.